Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Joanne. Look, as for some of you that don't know, I'm currently a law student or currently studying law. So one of the things I said is I'd bring you some really interesting cases. And so today we looked at murder and particularly in Victoria, the rules of murder. But there was something, there's this causation consideration. And so one of the examples was if somebody was stabbed and they're in hospital and they caught COVID and they died 3 weeks later, whether the cause of death would be COVID and whether the stabbing would contribute, whether you could charge with murder for that. However, there is a case in the US that is very, very interesting. Now, I can't find any update on this. So this goes back to 1984. 1984. Yes, 1984. Let's have a look. So my lecturer brought this up. This is the only case that she's found of somebody with a delayed charge. So Florida babysitter abused a baby boy in 1984. He died at the age of 35 in 2019. Now she's charged with murder. So the story goes, Ben Dowling was 5 months old and healthy when she babysat him. When his parents returned, he was brain injured. She said that he fell off the sofa, but eventually took a plea deal in which she pled guilty to attempted murder and aggravated battery. She served the jail sentence on weekends. He was severely disabled and required tube feeding, could not talk or walk, and he died in September 2019. And the dog's cause of death, sequelate of head trauma in 1984. Now, she was arrested in 2021. So, yes, 37 years later, she was charged with murder due to the fact that the brain injury that he achieved in 1984 was the reason why he died. So she stands accused of murder in the first degree over the September 2019 death of 35-year-old Ben Dowling. So she was arrested in Texas in early July. And when this was written, this was late July, she was awaiting extradition back to Florida, where the awful incident that left Dowling developmentally disabled occurred back in 1984. According to South Florida Sun Sentinel, McKirchy babysat Dowling while watching her own 2 children and 2 others on the day in question. When Ray Dowling picked up her not 6-month-old son, she could tell something was wrong. Journalist Elaine Kelly's original report notes, she told police her son's hands were clenched and he was turning blue. She said his breathing was shallow and his eyes were no longer expressive, but instead stared at her blankly. Ray Dowling said she rushed off with her son, stopping to find a phone and called the paediatrician. Meet at Plantation General Hospital, she was told. Their doctors determined Benjamin had shaken infant syndrome, now commonly referred to as abusive head trauma. Abusive head trauma in an infant usually occurs when a parent or caregiver severely shakes the infant in frustration or anger, often because the child won't stop crying, and this results in permanent brain injury or damage. Initially, McKirchy, who was 22 years old and pregnant at the time, told the police the boy had fallen off the couch. So the police didn't believe the story, so she was charged with attempted murder and aggravated battery on a child. So she was ordered to show up to jail on weekends until her 3rd child was born. So she eventually went on with life and made it to Texas. The authorities weren't sure how long she'd been in the Lone Star State when she was found and arrested by U.S. Marshals, deputies at the O'Reilly's auto parts store where she worked. The Dowling family had 2 more children after Benjamin and tried their best to move on, but life didn't work out that way. The plea deal was painful for them, and then there were the hopes lost and dreams for their son. Benjamin never progressed in development beyond a 5.5-month-old infant. He never crawled, rolled over, walked, never talked, never fed himself, never enjoyed a hamburger and ice cream. Although he lived to 35, the life we would have lived as a family was forever altered. We cherished our time with and memories of Benjamin, and we will continue to support him through our belief that there should be justice for Benjamin. After Benjamin Dowling died, the calculus changed completely. The Manatee County Medical Examiner's Office performed an autopsy and found that his death was directly attributed to the injuries he sustained in 1984. The office referred the matter to the Hollywood Police Department, the arresting agency several decades prior. Police in turn referred the case to Florida State Attorney's Office. A grand jury was impaneled. A murder indictment was returned. The passage of time between the injuries sustained and the death of the victim were considered by the forensic experts who conducted the autopsy and ruled the death was directly caused by the injuries from 1984. The facts speak for themselves. The case was presented to the grand jury, which determined that there was a homicide. McKirchy had only been charged with attempted murder the first time round. Constitutional double jeopardy protections do not apply, so now she faces prospects of life in jail. Now, I cannot find any updates on this matter. So I'm interested to see what you think. Yeah. It really puts something in place now that, and as I said, there is that provision that can happen in Victoria where if they can attribute a death, which is something that happened, and you can be charged with murder. There is no time frame on that. So I'm interested to hear what you think, because it was 30 odd years later. She's been charged with murder. Yes, she was charged with attempted murder. So double jeopardy does not apply here. So I'm interested to hear what you think. It's a sad case, really. Apparently he was tube fed and, as I said, couldn't walk or talk, but he died because the autopsy showed that the death was a result of the injury sustained in 1984. They had the grand jury, and yeah, she's been charged with murder. So tell me what you think in the comments below, and I will catch you next time. Bye for now.